Alright you guys, well, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name is Felicia and I'm a photographer based out of Detroit, Michigan that documents her photo and travel adventures here on YouTube, or at least I try to. But today we're going to be talking about how 5 years ago I had absolutely zero skills, knowledge, passion. I didn't even know anything about photography to now being in my third year of freelance, not even 5 years later. We're about to go on a road trip to the Smoky Mountains for about a week, and then the day that we get back, we're going to be going backpacking for 2 days. So I figured it might be a little bit before I'm able to edit those videos and actually get them out. So that's when I got the idea to just film this video and basically give you guys a little background on my life before photography, tell you guys how I got into it, and then how I was able to make it my full-time job in a little less than 5 years. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Now growing up, my entire life was focused on sports before I had photography, and hockey in particular. Now when I was a kid, I literally played everything: soccer, basketball, softball, but hockey was by far my favorite, and eventually I cut out all other sports to be able to do hockey full time, and I actually planned on going to college to play hockey. Looking back, those 10 years are some of the best years of my life. I won 2 back-to-back state championships and made some lifelong friends that I still talk to this day. But unfortunately, once I got into high school, I realized that the most that I would be able to do with hockey was be able to play in the Olympics, and I wouldn't really be able to make a career out of it. And that was honestly devastating. And I was just getting into high school, so I kind of wanted to just like live a normal high school life. I was constantly going to off-ice practice. We either had practice, a game, or off-ice conditioning or workouts every single day. It was pretty crazy for somebody in high school trying to balance everything. So eventually I just didn't sign up one season, and then I never played again. And let's just say that at that point, I was completely lost. Hockey had been my life for the past 10 years, and I really didn't know anything besides that. I did end up getting my first job at Auntie Anne's, a pretzel shop in the mall, and then I also got a job at McDonald's, and I worked there throughout high school. And I was a good student in school, I did well in school, but I definitely am not proud of the person that I was, which is probably how most of us feel. For the first time in my life, I had no passion or real purpose, but I wasn't aware of it at the time. And most of my friends were just doing what normal high school kids do, going out to parties, dating, and all of that stuff that I really wasn't interested in. And I seriously remember this so vividly. I remember being so confused and asking myself, what is wrong with me? Why don't I like drinking and going to parties and just doing what normal high school kids like to do? Now, this was like 2006, way before YouTube and really anybody was vlogging or really even sharing their life on social media. So I literally felt like I was the only person that felt this way and that something was seriously wrong with me. So I kind of just went along with it for most of my high school years. I just went to parties and pretended to like drinking and just do all of the normal things that everybody did. And looking back on this is so terrible. If you're watching this right now and you feel that way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And there are a million things to do these days. That's why I'm so glad that we actually have YouTube now. That's why I'm making this video, and there is a plethora of other people and other resources out there to show you that there is way more to do with your life. I didn't do anything terrible, pretty standard things that you do when you're a teenager, and I had a good group of friends, so I made it through my high school years generally pretty happy, and it was fine. I graduated in 2010. And knowing that I wasn't a fan of the party scene, I made a decision to go to community college and not go away to college. And I went to school for social work. I had, like I said, I had absolutely no idea or no clue about photography. I wish I would have invested in either business courses or something related to photography. But I didn't, and the same thing happened. I had absolutely no passion and no life, basically, all through college. And I just felt so lethargic and just bored with life. It wasn't that I was depressed by any means, but I was not excited. And I wake up excited every day now, where before I was just kind of floating through life, if that makes any sense. And at the time, I didn't realize that this was due to not having a purpose in life. Shortly after high school, I got a serving job, and I worked at Texas Roadhouse forever, and I was a server there. But then I got sick of the service industry, and I actually got a job working security. Yes, me working security in Detroit too. And I had no idea, or I knew nothing about Detroit at the time. I really didn't spend a lot of time down there as a kid. It was for a private security company, and I basically was guarding green screens for the Batman vs. Superman movie. And I remember telling the guy, well, what do I do if somebody comes? And he looked at me and laughed and he said, nothing. You're just kind of there to scare people. But I did get my first introduction to Detroit, and I met my friend Mark. And Mark, if you are watching this, shout out to you. But he actually is the one that showed me all around Detroit. He lived in the city, and he took me to a few abandoned buildings and showed me that him and his friends go in there and take photos. And I remember just thinking that was the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole like underground world of the artists and creatives in Detroit. And I was just thought it was the coolest thing. So I worked there for a few weeks, but I actually vividly remember sitting in the chair and getting the phone call for my new job. It was a pharmacy position at a health insurance agency. I was basically going to be a pharmacy technician, and I remember being like, are you sure you have the right person? This is definitely not, I'm not a pharmacy tech. I have no experience in it, but it was in Detroit and it was right downtown, so I said yes. And this was August 2014. It was a great job, but it was a super challenging job, and it made me so miserable that every single day on my lunch breaks, I would literally just walk around the city and take photos with my iPhone and just walk around and explore things. Since I wasn't really ever used to being in a big city every day. Not that Detroit is a huge city, but you know what I mean. And this is right when Instagram was becoming a thing, and I started to see all these people go on all these abandoned buildings. Like, we had abandoned skyscrapers and rooftops, and I saw all these people posing and just like them in the photo up there, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to get up there. And every day I would pass this piece of street art by the Farwell building, which used to be abandoned. It's now built into a new hotel, but at the time it was abandoned, and there was a bunch of street art and graffiti, and I'll see if I can find the picture, but I took a photo and I posted it on Instagram, and one of the guys that I actually was following that was on all the rooftops and stuff, it was his graffiti or street art, and he messaged me, and I told him that I was dying to get up on these rooftops. I saw all his pictures and I was a huge fan, and he offered to take me out to the Packard plant and go exploring for the first time. Like I said, this is 2014, so I was 24 at the time. And I remember being like, I'm just gonna meet these three dudes. It was my friend John, my friend Colin, and my friend Andrew. Not my Andrew. But I did. I went, and it was awesome. All three guys were so nice. We ended up all being friends after that, and we explored the Packard plant. I took a bunch of photos with my phone, and I was just completely blown away. It was a good first place to go, so I was completely hooked after that. So I spent a few months just going to a bunch of abandoned buildings with my phone and exploring the city, just taking photos on my iPhone. Until one day we got on the roof of an abandoned hotel in the city at night, and my friend Julian was there, and he had, I think it was a Canon T3i at the time, but he had a real camera, and he took this photo of me. If I can find it, I'm going to put it up on the screen. But he took this photo of me, and I remember being completely mind blown compared to my cell phone pictures. And that was the moment that I knew that I had to get a camera. So literally the next morning, I woke up, went to Best Buy, and asked the guy, what's the best camera I can buy under $500? And all they really had was a Nikon, so I ended up getting a Nikon D3300, and that was May of 2015, so that was my first camera. Now, when I first got the camera, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I was honestly super discouraged because it's a lot different than using a phone. There's a science that goes into it, there's all these things you need to learn, and I had absolutely no idea. But my friend Julian was always down to shoot. He was really the only one that I knew that was shooting on manual with his camera at the time, and we shot together all the time, and he was constantly, I always had questions. And I remember one night specifically, we were trying to take long exposures of houses in Detroit, and at the time, there was no street lights in Detroit at all, and all of the houses were abandoned, so it was literally pitch dark, and he was getting these insane long exposures, and I remember getting so frustrated. We were there till almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and finally I figured it out. So shout out to you, Julian, I appreciate it. Because truly, I don't even know if I would have been able to learn that on my own. But nowadays, they definitely do have YouTube videos that explain all of this. But once I got the basics down, I was honestly so obsessed. I learned the exposure triangle, and I was obsessed. Every single day I was out shooting after work from 5 p.m. until midnight, went home, woke up at 6 a.m. and did it every single day over again. And I still had no followers, and nobody even really cared to see my photos, and I was kind of a nobody, but I didn't care, and I never had any idea that I would gain followers or that photography would become my job. I was just super passionate about something for the first time ever since hockey, and I just did it every single day, over and over and over. And I swear that the act of going out, shooting, editing, posting, and continuing that over and over is how I learned everything. And every year around Christmas time, we have a Christmas tree lighting in Detroit where thousands of people just go to the city center and we turn on the lights for the Christmas tree every year. And I worked in the building that was directly in front of where it was happening, and my badge got me access to most of the building. And I actually realized that the very top floor was under construction. And the explorer in me just felt like I had to try to get up there and get just a vantage point through the window. I had no idea, but when I got up there, the door to the roof actually ended up being open. Right when I walked out there, I saw that there was news people out there, and I knew that I was not going to last long before getting kicked out. So I literally just had my camera in my hand, and before I could even snap off 2 pictures, I got kicked out. And luckily, I did somehow get 2 photos, while I was up there, and I didn't even think anything of it. I just was like, oh, cool, whatever. And I kind of felt bad because it was my company, and there was like somebody that was like, hey, you can't be up here, I could get in trouble. So I felt bad. But on the way home from that, I actually got stuck in traffic in the parking structure. I couldn't leave because everybody was trying to leave at once. So I just decided to Wi-Fi the picture to my phone and post it on Facebook just because I was bored, and I was like, I wonder if this turned out. And it, at the time it was a cool picture, but I didn't think it was anything crazy. I would have much rather used a tripod. I did it handheld, and I posted it on Facebook, and like I said, I had 0 followers. I knew nobody at the time. And just in the time it took me to get home, which wasn't even an hour, when I got home, that photo was shared and had started to go viral. And this was my first time ever getting more than like 10 likes on a picture. I was getting messages from all over. People from China were requesting prints, and I was just mind blown. I'll never forget the first print that I ever sold of that. It was to this lady who was a bus driver in Detroit, and somehow she saw the picture on Facebook, and she contacted me and said, I want to buy this picture. And I just remember being like, what? Okay, and I sold it for something really cheap, probably like $50, and I sold her a 20 by 30 print, and I remember I delivered it to her in a frame, and when I got there, she was jumping up and down. She was so excited, and she wanted to take a picture with me, and I just remember being like, what the heck? This is so crazy. All of a photo that I didn't even think was going to turn into anything. And I just remember it was seriously one of the best feelings. And that was kind of like my moment. After that, things started to kind of pick up for me. I started to notice I was growing a little bit of a small audience, and that there was a potential to make some extra money from this. So I made a website and started selling prints online and showing my work at local art fairs, but I seriously still had no idea that this would eventually turn into my career. And after that, I basically just kept shooting every single day. I found a bunch of people that were doing the same things as me and that were into exploring, and we literally just were shooting constantly. And at the time, Detroit had so many places that were just wide open, basically, and this was way before the city started to come back, so most people actually thought that we were crazy for going in all these places. But to us, it didn't really seem that dangerous. We went into tons of abandoned schools, churches, factories, and even skyscrapers. We were basically getting views that nobody had really seen in Detroit before. Now, I'm sure there was photographers that were taking photos, but nobody was really posting them online, so nobody saw them. So this started to draw a lot more attention to me, and my Instagram account started to grow. Let me just stress again, even at this point, it was purely about the fun for me. And I was honestly kind of just chasing the adrenaline rush of getting to see Detroit from all these crazy perspectives that most people didn't get to see. And the fact that I was making money on top of it just seemed crazy to me. And then one day at an art show, one of my friends asked me if I would want to second shoot a wedding for him. And I remember being pretty nervous, but I just said yes, and I did it. And I did a couple weddings with him and actually found out that they're really fun to shoot. And one of my friends that I played hockey with actually ended up moving to Minnesota to play college hockey, and she ended up getting married and asking me to shoot her wedding. And again, I was super nervous. This was going to be my first time taking photos by myself at a wedding. But again, I just said yes, and I went, and it was absolutely amazing. Couldn't have been more perfect for my first time shooting a wedding on my own. And once I posted those photos on social media and people saw that I did weddings, it was kind of just a snowball effect from there. I was getting inquiries left and right from friends, family, people I didn't know, coworkers. It really made a difference to be working at a company that was filled with people 25 to 30 that were all getting married. And almost a year of this went by where I was just saying yes to every job I got, but still consistently shooting in Detroit every single day and posting on social media. Then I started to get contacted by different businesses in Detroit that wanted me to take photos and to promote their building. And then things started to kind of come full circle. I got an email from the Downtown Detroit Partnership, like the city of Detroit, the people that put on the Christmas tree lighting. And they basically said that they saw my photo and they wanted to hire me to take the same type of photo for them. And I didn't really mention it, but it's just kind of funny to me because I actually got in a lot of trouble for sneaking up there back when I did that. I got in trouble with my work, I got in trouble with Bedrock, and now because of that, even though people were upset, now I was being hired to go back to take the same shot, and that was just crazy to me. And after that, that was kind of the moment that I realized that I might actually be able to make a living out of this. But I was still so skeptical and I just couldn't even picture it. And I actually got promoted at my job, and after that, I was like, okay, I'm set. I have a salary position. I'm basically as high as I can get. I'm kind of set for life. Why would I want to leave that? But luckily by this time, I had a lot of friends that actually saw what I had going and encouraged me and told me, no, Felicia, you can actually do this. And for instance, my friend Kelly, if you're somehow watching this, Kelly, you probably aren't, but thank you so much because you were probably the one that pushed me the most. I remember one day she just looked at me and said, what is stopping you? Give me 5 good reasons as to what is stopping you. And I literally couldn't even come up with more than 3. My reasons were I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't have a plan. And 3, I didn't want to disappoint my grandpa. And I know that sounds so lame, but I had just basically worked my way up to this position in this company, and I thought that I was exactly where I wanted to be. And I just remember her telling me and saying, those are not valid reasons. You have to try this. She asked me how much I made at my current job. She asked me what I charged for most of the services that I provided. And she made me a list of how many weddings I needed to do, how many corporate shoots, how many events I needed to do to be able to make the same salary. And when she put it like that and I actually saw it, I was actually like, this is kind of possible. And even with that, I was still so scared and unsure. I literally didn't know one person that was making a full-time living off of only photography. But this is right when YouTube actually started to become more popular and more people were putting out like vlog style content. And I found this guy named Brendan Vanson, and he was seriously my first inspiration. He has made probably 500 videos. He made a video every single day from like 2015 to 2017 of his process from going from being kind of a nobody photographer from Canada to now he travels the world full time and he is extremely successful. He would literally go down every month and tell you exactly how much he made every month, and honestly, it was the best thing I could have watched. And he basically just showed me that it's possible for a normal person like me to make this happen. And Andrew Kearns was another huge inspiration. If you guys haven't checked him out already, follow him on Instagram, go watch his vlogs. They're not the most cinematic vlogs or anything, but they are so inspiring to me. Literally just shows him going out, what I was talking about earlier, just shooting every single day, not thinking about things and just going out, shooting and practicing. And at this point, it was like the middle of August, and I had kind of convinced myself that I was going to quit, and I even told my parents and most of my family. I hadn't told my grandpa, which is who I was worried about disappointing the most, but I'd kind of come to terms with myself that I was going to do it. So really all that was holding me back was telling my grandpa. And then one day I got a phone call while I was at work actually for a job, and that was kind of the breaking point for me. It was a helicopter company that contacted me asking me if I was available during the week from 9 to 5 to be able to go fly in helicopters and take photos all over Michigan. And what did I have to say? No, because I work from 9 to 5 and I couldn't get the time off. So I told them no, offered that I could do it, obviously not during normal business hours, and they responded saying that they needed somebody full-time, or at least someone that's available during normal business hours. And I seriously remember sitting at my desk being so upset and just feeling like I just watched an opportunity walk away from me. And that was it. That was my breaking point. I knew that I wasn't going to go my whole life wondering what if and just to not disappoint other people. I knew that I had to do it for myself. So I walked right up to my manager with tears in my eyes because I'd been thinking about it for so long, and I basically just said, look, I need to talk to you. And she looked right at me and she knew. She said, you're quitting, aren't you? And that was it. It was August 25th of 2017. That was my last day of work at that full-time job. And it was funny because it was my 4-year anniversary of actually getting that job. But I knew that if I didn't do it now, I was going to go my whole life kind of wondering what could have been. And I also knew that I was always going to be able to get another job. Yes, it might not be as good of a job, but I was going to be able to work my way back up in corporate America somehow if I had to fall back on something. But other than that, I really didn't have any plan. And the first year was pretty scary because I was just so unsure, but I did way better than I expected. And the second year is when things really started to take off for me, and I kind of realized that I needed to make reoccurring income. So I got clients on retainers, I started doing bigger projects, I started just putting myself out there more and networking with the type of people that I knew had the money to pay me. And I just kept doing that, and I kept posting, and I just kept being consistent, and that basically kind of just brings us to where we are now. And it's going on 3 years of full-time freelance. The end of this month, actually, August 25th, will be full 3 years that I've been freelance. And don't get me wrong, I'm super proud of myself and grateful for where I am right now, but I do have plans for the future, and I honestly don't know what's in store. And obviously COVID has completely changed that, but it's honestly had me thinking about how I can change the direction of my business and what I can do with it. But that's literally a whole other video in itself. But yeah, so that's basically it. I'm sure I probably forgot a bunch of stuff that I could have put in this, but I'm trying not to make this video too long. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background of who I was before I had a camera, how I got to become a photographer and got into it, and that I was literally just a broke college student 5 years ago that had no passion and had no idea what they wanted to do with their life. I'm gonna start trying to make more videos that I would have wanted to see when I was first starting out, to just break the barrier and show that if I can do it, you guys can too. And to just encourage people that you can do a lot more with your life than just sit inside and watch Netflix, be on social media, or play video games. And I really feel like I'm kind of living proof that you never know what could happen if you follow your passions. So if you guys have any questions about business, freelance, or anything that you're struggling with starting out, please let me know. I would love to make a video that would actually help you guys. So yeah, that's basically gonna be it for this one. Hit the like button if you like that video. It really does help push these videos out and be seen by more people. And also, let me just take a moment to stop and thank every single one of you guys that have ever supported me in the past 5 years, because I literally never would have imagined this would be my job, and I honestly have you guys to thank for that. And like I said earlier, we're actually heading out on a road trip to Tennessee for about a week. We're staying in an isolated cabin in the middle of the Smoky Mountain. And we're actually going backpacking 2 days after that. So yeah, lots of fun videos to come. They might be a little bit delayed, but that's why I'm doing this video now. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.